No, by doing this, we're not actually get to learn what exactly we're making.
Oh, well, we'll show what we're doing with this when we're done. So we're live now. And what we're doing is we're using acetone to dissolve styrofoam. We got a lot of styrofoam here. And what it'll turn into is this kind of putty-like substance. And the putty-like substance is very flammable. Now we got a piece of a giant chunk of wood that we've been trying to set on fire for a while now for a little bonfire in our fire pit. But no matter what we do, we can't get it to light. We've tried several times through several days with several different means and methods, and just hasn't worked. So we're using what we affectionately refer to as Styrofire, which is, once this process is complete, is a ridiculously hard to put out. Well, it's actually not hard to put out, but it's a ridiculously resilient fire. And it tends to do really well. You can put it out and light it right back up. That's the nice thing about this stuff. It's really cool.
It's almost like charcoal.
Almost, only it's like we had a year-old piece of our Styrofire that was dry and everything, and we just put a lighter to it and lit right up like that. You can keep it portable in a mason jar if you need it as emergency fire starter. Although I wouldn't keep it in your car. The stuff is highly flammable. So, you know, used within caution. You know, I don't recommend anyone do what we're doing just for safety reasons. But if you're wondering what the heck we're doing this for, that's the end result, is we're trying to start a campfire. Well, not a campfire, a little fire pit. Yeah, bonfire, fire pit fire, whatever you want to call it, using this method of styrofoam and acetone. And this acetone will eat up the styrofoam pretty crazy. This is a glass bowl right here. We're using a glass bowl because acetone, you know, like I said, it eats through stuff. So we needed to make sure it wasn't a plastic or anything, so that way the acetone is in the bowl and it doesn't disintegrate what it's being held in.
And then for those who don't know what acetone is, it's basically nail polish remover.
It's used for a variety of different things, but this is one of the purposes we use it for, and we're just about ready to start dissolving the styrofoam into the acetone. Now, some of you might think it's like similar to napalm. It's not chemically similar in any means, but it does light. It stays lit. You can put it out and light it back up again really easily. It's a pretty interesting little concept that we kind of, I don't know, actually kind of accidentally discovered one day. And it seems to work quite nicely. So we just got a few more little pieces, and then we'll be good to go. Waiting on, see if people want to join the live stream and say hi and see what exactly we're doing. I got the battery bank on me this time with the wire. I didn't have the wire last time.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't run out of battery, showing off, or demonstrating, I should say, the concept of what we're doing. At the very end of all of this, we'll actually try setting that dang piece of wood on fire to see if we can finally get it lit. Because we've tried, you know, fire starter fluid. You know, we've tried using air pumps to increase the amount of oxygen to the flame, certain spots to get it super hot. We've tried the old, like every other method. It just, you know, the chimney methods and stuff like that. It just can't light this dang wood. And I'm willing to think that Styrofire here might actually do what we're trying to do. All right, we just got one more panel of Styrofoam.
Right now.
For right now, we got a ton more, but this should be more than enough. And I want to reiterate, you know, don't screw around with acetone if you don't know what you're doing. See, it dissolves it. So what we're going to do, go ahead and just put it in. See, it dissolves the styrofoam immediately. Styrofoam is a lot of it is just air, and that's partly why it's a good insulator, is because air is, you know, a very good insulator. This just gives it a solid form instead of a gaseous form, really. And the acetone gets rid of the gaseous formations inside of it chemically and brings it down back to just a solid. And you'll be amazed how much of this turns out to be what we dissolve.
How did that work?
Because we could have you could have a huge amount of styrofoam, and realistically the amount of materials that it's actually made out of besides oxygen and whatever else is in the air is pretty minimal. Of course, you know, we're doing this outside because you need a well-ventilated area for this sort of thing. You don't want to goof around with, you know, chemicals like this. And we're just going to keep doing this, and eventually we'll get to the point where it's a big kind of goop, and at that point we can use it as a liquid putty-like substance and place it on the piece of wood we're trying to set fire for the campfire, and we'll be able to finally set it ablaze so we can get the little bonfire going. Well, like I was saying before, if you keep this stuff in a glass mason jar, it could be used as an emergency fire starter. But, you know, your mileage may vary and safety reasons may make it unreasonable to use it like that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, try 2 at one time. It's a pretty interesting reaction.
You could probably do quite a few at once.
I mean, yeah, let's try several at once. Here, let's try.
Right after this, please.
Yeah, 3. It would 6 at once after this little piece. Yeah, 6 pieces of styrofoam. I mean, yeah, I didn't expect it to work any less efficient. It's just utilizing more of the acetone in one, you know, in the space. And you let it sit there and it dissolves. We'll just do it by the bundle now.
This is 7.
There's 7 layers of it. Return it so that it's, yeah, wait, there you go. They can see all the separate layers. This is what we do with our excess styrofoam, so that way it's not taking up a ton of space. Now, another neat thing is, like I was saying, it comes like a putty-like substance, like kind of like a non-Newtonian fluid almost. Now, that's as long as there's some acetone still in the mixture with the styrofoam. If you let it dry out completely, it becomes an incredibly hard plastic.
8.
This is 8 pieces at once. And that incredibly hard plastic could probably be used for a variety of applications. I've always wondered about using it as, like, creating it into a filament for 3D printers. Although you'd have to be sure all the acetone is gone, otherwise you might set the damn thing on fire. This is where it starts to get viscous. And we have a spoon.
Underneath.
Yeah, we got a big old spoon to help navigate this. We should be able to just force it down in there. It's still pretty good. At this point, though, it's going to take a little longer because now it's a lot of styrofoam and acetone. But it still works. As long as there's acetone in the mixture, it'll dissolve it.
You can feel the heat coming up between the pieces of styrofoam.
Chemical reaction. It's interesting. Yeah, once we get this to a really viscous substance, it'll be perfect for getting that stupid piece of wood to catch. Yep. Gotta mix it around a little bit now. We may have to start doing a little less at a time now. Look out, I'm putting my spoon in there. The acetone to just, that's, you know, it'll melt it as it's inside there. There we go. It's funny, you put it in here, it's like it's just disappearing. Like as if it's going into another dimension almost.
It's like another in Minecraft.
Yeah, it's like a portal. A lot of this is still acetone. We're starting to get to the point where we're more styrofoam than acetone, really. We're approaching on maximum capacity here. That's what the spoon's for. Let's take a look at the substance. It's like putty. Or you know what it's like? It's like when you make a batter of some sort, and the batter is not really as flowing as a liquid, but not a solid.
Oh, you say one more?
Yeah, we could try for one more piece in there. We gotta scoop it on. And just let the acetone. Oop, we got a little on the side here. Come on, there we go. It's solid enough that I can still save it. And not let it spill onto anything here, because that would be tragic.
I think that might be the end of it.
I mean, as far as this particular mixture goes,
this batch.
I mean, this is... Alright, so at this point, this is like straight up melted styrofoam. Well, not melted, dissolved is the more appropriate term. Now, here's the thing. If we leave it in this goopy substance, it's part acetone and then a lot parts styrofoam. And in this form, it's extremely flammable, and you only need a little bit. And the way it is right now, if you were to light this, if you were to just plop this on a piece of wood, light it on fire, it would catch fire immediately and stay on fire for a very long time, even if it was just a tiny little bit. But here's the fun part. If I put out the fire and let it sit even for a year like we did, we can come back and light it on fire again almost immediately, and it will continue right where it left off. It hasn't lost any of its potential energy, which is pretty crazy.
And we had a pretty wet year too.
Yeah. A lot of the mixture became water at some point because we had it in the fire pit, you know, trying to get this work. That's why I was saying that this might be an interesting survival kind of thing if you had it in a mason jar that never cracked or broke, because God help you if it broke inside of like a backpack or something. But like I was saying, since it catches fire so well and stays lit and you can reuse it, it's reusable fire. essentially, which is pretty incredible. I mean, I can still melt styrofoam or dissolve it. You just have to get rid of gas bubbles. The gas bubbles are taking their time to get out because of how viscous the fluid is at this point. But we can still get more in. It'll go from solid to liquid. It's got to account for the gas bubbles. Yeah, you gotta hate living on the side of shoes. Sorry for the ear rape. Can't control that. Once again, another disclaimer. You know, I wouldn't recommend just going around and doing this. You know, this stuff is extremely flammable. So please don't fuck around with it. I normally try to keep my language as clean as possible with videos, but this is worth emphasizing. Don't... You almost got it on my hand. You don't want this on your hand, on your skin, or anything like that. We're outside because if it's not ventilated, you're gonna have a bad time. Let's see, I bet we can jam at least one more in there.
Maybe.
We'll see. It's going. Well, the acetone tends to sit at the bottom of the mixture. It's kind of like when you mix water and oil. Or don't mess with the spoon right now. It's like when you mix water and oil. One's going to sit on top of the other. I think it's the oil that sits on top of the water, if I'm correct? Or
Yeah.
yeah. So in this case, the dissolved styrofoam sits on top of the acetone. So that's why you got to push down, because that's where all the liquid acetone is still residing. I got this. I'm going slowly here so that the bubbles come out. Otherwise, they'll never come out. If you go too fast, you'll just be shoving a solid into another solid here. Solid being the glass bowl. Point. Put that piece of styrofoam underneath everything. And this will be the final mixture. I think this is more than good enough for what we're trying to do. This is a ton, well, not a actual measurement of weight, but it is a lot of styrofoam that has been dissolved into this substance. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the fire pit and we're going to try and set the dang thing ablaze. So
Did you grab the
no, I gotta
okay.
Go ahead and grab that. Hey, really quick, put this over where we found it in the garage, and then I'm going to bring this over to the spot. Alright, gotta be really careful handling this glass jug. Come for a walk with me, people. Alright, this is what we're trying to light. Now, you might be wondering, why in the world is this so hard to light? It looks like typical firewood, right? Well, it actually came from a solid chunk of wood right there that was split off And a lot of people don't realize that solid wood is actually pretty hard to set ablaze. So I'm just waiting on my friend to come back with the lighter. And we're gonna get this thing going. So stay with me for just a little bit. All right, we're back. We just now found the lighter. Here in just a second. All right, finally at the point where we can light this. Okay, so Mike, if you want to grab a little styro fire, put it, I'd say put it right in here. Heat the bottom and top. Make sure it's a kind of a goopy substance. So I'll go ahead and mix it around. It's the mixture of the styrofoam and acetone that really does the trick here. That's good. It's very viscous. Having trouble there?
It just doesn't want to come off the spoon.
Okay, yeah, kind of push it underneath both in the
I'm going to move the wood back in.
All right. So let me move the camera a little better. All right, Styrofire. Let's try it in this position right here. Mosquitoes. All right, hold on. Mosquitoes are killing me here. All right, go ahead. And there she blows. Now, Styrofire just by itself will burn for an absurdly long amount of time without actually getting into another source of energy like wood. So this might actually be our best chance of setting this darn piece of wood on fire. As I was stating before, we had tried using traditional fire starter for several hours trying to get this thing going, several different wood configurations. You know, tried, getting a chimney effect going. We used an air pump mattress to force oxygen into the flame in order to try and get it to burn hotter. And it did. It burned a lot hotter, but it just wouldn't stay lit. The wood just wouldn't stay lit. So this is a genuine, honest-to-God test for the first time of the Styrofire to see if it can light this log. Now that being said, I can't imagine the fumes coming off of this stuff are healthy in any way, shape, or form. But that's why it's, we're using it as an outdoor product. Being outdoors, super well ventilated. Otherwise, we wouldn't really even be attempting something like this. Maybe you might be dumb enough, Mike, not me. Now at this point, it's still the Styrofoam that's on fire. It's not the wood.
No, wood's caught on fire.
If the wood actually catches on fire, this will be the first time in several months that we've tried. Several times. We've tried at least 5 times to light this darn piece of wood. This bit of wood. It all came from the same chunk of log.
This is what, the second or third time we've done this configuration then.
Yeah. Well,
the other times we tried with just a big, solid piece of log.
Yeah, that's true. We should, if we can get this to work and burn all of it, we should try Styrofoam on the log itself and see if we can get it. But what did we clock the Styrofoam to by itself? I think it was at least 10 minutes the Styrofoam went by itself when we first made the original mixture.
Yeah, it was about 10 minutes.
Yeah, about 10 minutes by itself. Hot enough to where you could emergency cook something, but I would never eat anything. Never eat anything that has this Styrofoam as its heat source, because you're going to be just getting a waft of chemicals all over any food. It's not a good idea. This is just for like keep warm situation. But it's an interesting alternative, because otherwise you would be squirting flammable liquid on the area to get it to continue to burn, whereas Styrofoam, you pre-position exactly where you want the flame and then you light it, and it more or less stays in that particular area. And it'll just keep going and going whether or not the wood itself actually catches on fire. In some senses, it's almost safer, because people squirt these giant bottles of flammable liquid fire starter, and it's not like those bottles have a check valve to prevent the fire from going back into the bottle. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing as like, oh, let's take a super soaker and fill it full of lighter fluid. Yeah, okay, you'll have a temporary flamethrower, but there's no check valve to ensure that it doesn't flow back in, explode, and frickin' burn the crap out of you.
I think this one's actually going out a lot faster than before.
Well, you know, the Styrofoam we used before could be a different grade. You know, what we're doing is not an exact science. The concept is there, but there's definitely differences. I wouldn't put anything else in there until we're absolutely sure that what we have is kaputs.
Want me to try lighting the top again?
No, not yet. I want to see how long this stuff is going to last without any intervention. Because it feels to me like it stayed as a viscous fluid and then fell, instead of burning all up in one spot. I mean, there's still a fire going. Which is the interesting part. You can still see it on the camera. Flickers of light at the bottom. Ow.
And it's out.
Wow. This darn wood.
Oh, it's bubbling.
It's bubbling.
Yeah.
So the wood itself didn't catch on fire. That was just straight up Styrofoam going. Just put it on the very top piece of the, like, turn over the log on the top so it's concave and not convex. No, the other one. There you go. Just put it on top of that. See what happens. It's so annoying that now it's a nice clear night, but during the solar eclipse today, it was all cloud. So that is a big ass chunk of Styrofoam.
No, not at all.
See how the Styrofoam is starting to like flatten out? Like when you put pancake mix on a pan, the pan's still hot, but it's still like moving out to cover more surface area. That's what the Styrofoam seems to be doing. Still, I mean, look at it go.
And it's wrapping around the board too.
Yeah. Can't really see it on the camera because you can't adjust camera settings through the YouTube live stream app. Yeah, you can see the Styrofoam bubbling up. Actually, I don't think that's the Styrofoam bubbling. I think that's the acetone that's within the Styrofoam bubbling. Because the Styrofoam essentially holds the acetone in place in a more solid structure instead of the liquid. I want to go to the fishing spot again.
Yeah, this would be nice to try at the fishing spot.
Well, I mean, these are our trial tests here. If we can't get it to work here, I don't think we're going to get it to work in a more wild setting.
Well, this is the first time we've used this Styrofoam.
Yeah. Still, I mean, for what it's worth, this Styrofoam is doing exactly what the other one did too. It's just maybe not as long, but the properties are still there.
I don't think it's going to do right here. It's not going to set that board on fire because it's sitting on top of the board.
Well, it's not only that, but this piece of wood in particular is a pain in the arse to try and...
It's also been sitting out in the rain for the last...
Yeah, we're trying to see the extent of how far we can get this substance to go.
Sure.
So consider it like part of our analysis.
Does it just mean, or is it going through the board?
I don't know. I mean, if it was going through the board, that would be an indication that it's burning the wood, but at the same time, maybe not. I don't know. I still want to take this bug zapper out to the fish spot and just freaking bug zap it alive.
Yeah, I think you need more attractant though on it.
No, I have octanol on it. Yeah, I've got legitimate octanol on the bug zapper. It's got a few more days left to it at least.
I don't know, I can't tell with all the mosquitoes.
Well, the mosquitoes are around us too. Once the light goes out further. So I want to hear absolute bug freaking slaughter. It's music to my ears. You know, if it's not burning the wood, then this stuff really is going for a long freaking time. For what it's worth.
Yeah.
Because remember, we measured at least 10 minutes with just Styrofire and no other source. You know, just the Styrofire itself without any wood will burn for 10 minutes.
But it's actually burning the wood, though.
I mean, dude, if this actually catches the freaking wood on fire for the first time, that's pretty impressive, because we did just have a downpour yesterday. So all the wood is wet. So if this can actually get through the layer that's soggy to the point where it's actually... Hey, how's it going, Edward? Glad to see you again. We have a little substance we've created called Styrofire.
Yeah, it's got the wood on fire.
Oh yeah, thank God. Well, let's see if the wood actually stays on fire. Because, you know, we've had situations where it looks like it at one point.
It's thinning out the board right there.
We're starting to get embers, which is interesting. And we're starting to hear bug slaughter.
Yeah. The embers are falling.
We used acetone. If you were to scroll back through the beginning of the video, we actually show the process on how you dissolve it with acetone, and it turns into a putty-like substance, like almost like a non-Newtonian fluid. And once it's mixed together, it creates something we call a styrofire. And the nice thing about it, it's like portable fire that you can put out and light back up. Our first version of this stuff we made about a year or so ago, and it lit for about 10 minutes, just the Styrofire by itself, no extra wood or anything. And then we put it out, and a year later we started it right back up just by putting a flame to it. So you can literally put this stuff out and light it back up almost immediately, even if it sits for a year. So it's incredibly good at, you know, starting itself ablaze, which is, you know, you got to be really, really freaking careful with this stuff because of that. That being said, it's a nifty thing. I mean, if you want to put it in front of the camera, we can show you. If you want to, like, demonstrate. We'll show you what the Styrofire looks like. Down a little bit. There we go. It's just like that. It's, the guy says hello. Says hi, Mike.
Hello.
So, yeah, it turns into that kind of putty-like substance. Yeah, don't ever put acetone or something like that into like a plastic bowl. We're using a glass bowl specifically because acetone will eat through whatever it can, although glass seems to be a pretty safe choice. But yeah, if you were to scroll back to the beginning of this video, we show everything, and we show us actually dissolving the styrofoam. And the nice thing is, if you dry it out, let all the acetone evaporate from the styrofoam that's been not melted, but disintegrated, or dissolved, I should say, it turns into an extremely hard plastic. We've never done it with gasoline. we were always told to try acetone, so that's what we had on hand.
We could try sometime with gasoline.
I mean, it would be the same effect essentially. That being said, it's still going, and I don't think that's the log on fire. I think that's still the styro fire.
But maybe one time we'll make a batch with gasoline and another batch of the styrofoam side by side.
We could. I mean, we got a ton of styrofoam that's just kind of not being used for anything. Yeah, believe it or not, you can turn this stuff into a plastic. We used to have a little bit of it on hand. You have to lay it out very, very flat in like a cookie sheet almost. Very thin. And what that'll allow is the acetone from within the mixture of styrofoam and acetone, that'll allow the acetone to evaporate. And when that does, so you can see the styrofoam gooping down like a teardrop. There we go. Yeah, it's still just the styrofoam. But yeah, the acetone will evaporate, and then you're left with just essentially an extremely hard plastic-like substance. And I always thought to myself, well, what's preventing me from like grinding these into beads and then reforming them into something like a filament for 3D printers? I mean, that's the problem. The problem with styrofoam is there's no real good way to recycle it or reuse it. But if you could find a way to turn it back into a plastic without releasing harmful vapors in the air, which we're probably unfortunately doing right now because of the acetone, but if you could find a way to do something similar, you could probably make recycled styrofoam 3D printer filament. But yeah, we've been trying to get this stupid piece of wood to light on fire for months now, and we just can't get it to light, and this was our last ditch attempt at trying to do it. I almost feel like we should be making homes out of this particular wood right here. You wouldn't need to treat it or anything. Hey, it's fire resistant wood. No. What? No. Wherever you left it. It's still not catching fire where we need it to catch fire. That's such a bummer. Oh, see, yeah, you can see right here, dude. The mixture separating itself.
Yeah.
I mean, we could just go for broke. Hey, Chris. How's it going? Just want to go for broke. Put it underneath. But really quick, let's show everyone really quick one more time the substance. I'm going to turn the light on. So this right here is the Styrofoam. This is what happens when you mix styrofoam inside of acetone. You get enough of the styrofoam in there, it becomes a gelatinous-like substance, like you see right here. Almost like a non-Newtonian fluid, I guess would be the best way to describe it physically.
Go for broke?
Yeah, go for broke. We're going to put this underneath or on the center log in the middle, I guess. Let's try. Whatever you think is actually going to garner the best option here. Because we've been trying to get this stupid piece of wood to light for a long time. You definitely don't want to think it's candy. That would be no bueno. Go ahead, big glop. Just make sure you plop it off so it doesn't like catch some fire back up at you here. Glop it. There you go.
It's the whole thing?
Fuck it, why not? It's only going to burn for 30 minutes or so. I mean, at the most.
Cool.
And then put the wood on top of it because it doesn't need oxygen at this point. Almost use it like a glue. Well, it essentially is the consistency of slime. Now what we're going to do right here is we're lighting it on fire. Try and get this thing to light with the damn wood. Just need a tiny bit to start out with, and then it'll encroach on the rest of the styrofoam. This is the whole batch of Styrofire we made.
Oh, what's left?
Yeah, I mean, we could always make more, but the point is, the stupid wood doesn't want to catch on fire. It's wood.
The wood has met its maker.
Or has it?
Right now it has.
Maybe it'll finally get hot enough to get the wood going. I mean, right now, that's just straight up Styrofire. That's almost a campfire in itself. As the gelatinous mixture kind of like encroaches itself all over the rest of everything. Whew, you can smell it.
Ugh. You can smell it when you're pouring it in.
Yeah, that stuff's strong. Well, here's the thing, Edward. It looks like it works really well. And for all intents and purposes, it does. It's just this particular chunk of wood we've been trying to light for months, and it just will not light, so we just went for broke here. We'll have to see once the Styrofire is all gone if the wood is still going. Oh yeah, like I was saying before during the process of this live stream, don't ever get this stuff on your skin or on anyone. It's not something to play around with. It's not a toy. I mean, this is some pretty serious stuff when you get right down to it. I mean, it's not like it's napalm or anything, but it still can really fuck something up pretty badly if you mistreat it and misuse it, which I wholeheartedly do not condone. I mean, dude, if this doesn't get the wood to start on fire, I really am dumbfounded, and I don't have any other options to think of. We've tried lighter fluid, we've tried like excessive amounts of oxygen to try and, you know, force feed it. We're trying Styrofire. This wood just does not want to light, which is insane. Oh, dude, this is a great way to crack your back right here.
But if you think about it, that board right there is just engulfed in flames.
Yeah, I know that one piece of wood is nothing but like inside of flames, but you would imagine that it would have to catch fire. But if it doesn't, I'm going to be dumbfounded.
And the two boards on the bottom are engulfed in flames as well. So.
Well, here's the thing. Is the wood on fire, or is it just the Styrofire that's on fire? That's ultimately the problem. Any other wood, okay, if we were to go out and purchase actual firewood,
well,
this would light. Though. Exactly.
The wood that you buy has been dried out, though.
Exactly. This is natural wood. People don't realize that wood, when you get it from nature, its properties are a little different, and it's really hard to light. People think you can just go chop wood and it'll set ablaze, and it's just not the case, as we've clearly demonstrated time and time again. Whew. Now is the time I wish I had a gas mask. I hate when fire actually starts to produce smoke. Yeah. But you know what? Considering there is smoke, that's a sign that the wood might actually be on fire this time.
You hear the crackling of the wood?
Yeah. Holy crap. I think we may have actually gotten it to light this time. And I quickly remember how much I don't like smoke.
Well, it's a camping experience.
No kidding. I usually bring a gas mask with me. Like, I want to look at the fire, but I don't want to breathe or get it in my eyes, the smoke. It's irritating. What? Point is, I think for once we actually got it lit, but I wonder which of these pieces of wood is genuinely lit. You know, the thing is, we haven't been able to light this forever, so it still has a ridiculous amount of potential energy, which means this fire can theoretically burn for, like, probably upwards of at least an hour.
Not bad.
It's pretty intense.
Next goal. Styrofoam versus this.
Dude, if we can get the freaking stump to light. Hey, stump removal. Stump removal services. What did you find in the garage that has made you so happy? What's up?
Why is the garage door open?
Because we had some supplies we're getting back and forth in there.
Okay, you're not there now, and all my stuff is exposed.
Okay. We will go and close it.
I closed it already.
Alright.
You know better than that.
Okay. Yes, you're right. We should have done that. Mistakes were made, but oh well. Don't jack off in front of me.
I'm not jacking off.
You're rubbing your stick.
We're rubbing fingers together.
Look how the color of the flames have changed. Cool.
Actually, I think one of the logs has caught fire.
Yeah, and we're getting bug slaughter on top of it. You can hear the bug zapper. $10 pounds of Legos. That's a lot of Legos.
How many pounds?
10 pounds. You feel the dog bag or the Legos. All I can say is don't drop the bag and don't step on the Legos.
No, step on the Legos.
That's like suicide. It's like stepping on a landmine.
No, it's not.
Oh, really? Why don't you show me
kill
that?
You.
Okay, at this point, I think we actually got the wood on fire because I see smoke coming from the wood. Bug's getting screwed. Dude, that bug's getting fucked.
There's like no Styrofoam left in there.
Guess going for broke really worked. Dude, if that was all Styrofire, I would be shocked.
I think for this for the log,
It might actually catch the stump on fire.
I say we use 3 batches of Styrofoam.
That's a bit excessive. We would need to have some backup plans to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. I love the sound of bug slaughter at the night.
You put a glop underneath it, a glop on top, and you just make sure you have a glop that goes along the sides.
That is so stupid. But I think it's a success. We've got the wood on fire thanks to Styrofoam. The most effective fire starter you can make. I mean, it is more effective. We've tried every other method, and this is the only way we've ever gotten the fire, or this particular piece is a set of woods to catch fire. Huzzah.
It's turning blue in there too, so it's getting hot.
Yeah?
Huzzah. We finally had it.
About damn time.
It's only taken 4 months.
Ridiculous amount of time. I wish we know how to get this stupid thing lit now. Okay. Damn mosquitoes, tell you what. Okay. We'll see you in a bit, Edward. Well, originally, if you were to scroll back to the beginning of the video, we were showing how to dissolve styrofoam into a gelatinous substance using acetone, and that substance is a particularly good fire starter. Now, the reason why we've done this is because we got this wood that's on fire now, but we've been trying to get this wood to set ablaze for several months now using different methods, and none of the methods have worked up until using what we like to call Styrofoam, which is an insanely effective method. So, huzzah. But if you want to actually see the real meat of the subject, you'll have to scroll back to the beginning of the video. I just remembered flash was enabled. Turn off flash. I mean, stuff like that we've tried. We've tried actual fire starting fluid. Probably a half gallon of the stuff over the course of several months, trying to get the stuff to light. We've tried using air mattress pumps to force oxygen into the flames to get it to burn hotter, try and get it started. Tried setting it up like a chimney to allow convection currents to try and get it going too, but none of that stuff worked. And our last ditch effort was using what we call a Styrofoam, and it finally worked. The nice thing about Styrofoam is it's portable. It's a gelatinous-like substance. You can put it in a mason jar, and if you absolutely needed to, it could be a survival item, although I don't recommend it as such. But it's interesting. You can use it to start a fire, and then you can put the fire out with water, and then a year later come back to it, and the Styrofoam is still sitting there. You can light it right back up, and it'll start up again immediately. It's basically a reusable fire starter. We've actually done this before. It's pretty incredible. The Styrofoam by itself will stay lit for about 10 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, that wood right there is gone. Has tremendously got thin now.
Yeah, it's a particularly strange, thing to actually work with, but once again, I want to reiterate to anyone watching, you got to be extremely careful when messing around with this stuff, either separate or in this combination, because as I've said before, it starts fires, and you got anything that starts a fire, very, you know, dangerous and hazardous. So, you know, saying that as just kind of like a legal disclaimer. But nevertheless, it's not like this is a secret of any sort. But we were also saying another interesting thing about it is if you were to spread the gelatinous fluid out flat and let the acetone evaporate out of it completely, it turns into an extremely hard plastic. Smoke's coming at me. And when it's a plastic, it's really resilient. So it's interesting. It can be, you know, a few separate forms of itself depending on how much you want to work with it. Whew, the bugs. Oh, the bugs.
What we got for messages then?
There's just a few people asking about, or saying that, you know, it's interesting.
No, it can't be.
Yeah, the eclipse was pretty...
Abysmal.
Yeah, it was pretty lackluster here where we're at. We were supposed to be able to see a good portion of it, but it was cloudy out today. So we didn't get to see jack.
I think there might still be some starfire in there.
Really? I'm gonna laugh if the fire just goes...
If it does that, I don't know, man.
Dude, if this is not actually wood fire, I'd be freaking out.
I'd be saying, yeah, that's a night.
Do they chemtrail your area?
Chemtrail? Yes, we do.
I don't know what's chemtrailing.
Chemtrails are they come out of the back of the airplanes. You'll see the, like, fighter jets flying through the air, or commercial aircraft. They'll have chemtrails coming out of the back of them.
Oh.
And they turn into long
Yeah.
clouds.
Let's see. I know what that is, yeah. I didn't know that's what it was called. But yeah, they do that.
Yeah, we get... Before the elections, we had a lot of it all over, so... What they ask?
No, they were just asking, do we have chemtrails?
Oh, the last message.
Well, they're just saying, yeah, what we're talking about. Remember, they're on a few second lag behind us.
Oh.
It's all live, so. Chemtrails are aluminum oxide sprayed into the air. Hey, Edward. Welcome back.
Aluminum oxide, huh?
Interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that before because it's one thing they try to do is try to block
And barium, he says.
Huh?
And barium, or she,
trying to block sunlight.
Okay, we've officially outlasted what Styrofoam can do. We're genuinely burning wood at this point. Yeah, but no, this is a straight up overcast. Although now it's clear out.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, it's...
For the most part.
It's still overcast.
Barely. Not like it was this morning.
Well, it was storming this morning.
Well, around the afternoon to 1:30 was going to be the peak of the eclipse in this area. And during that time, it wasn't storming, it was just cloudy.
I wouldn't know. I work in a warehouse.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you. Says in his life he'll be able to stand outside in Florida without sunglasses. Buddy, nights like this here are becoming rare. Or it's not too hot, not too cool. Oh my god, look at that guy's bike.
Nice bike.
I mean, it's just screaming, hey, come mug me. So that's unfortunate. Oh, for the first time, he was able to stand outside in Florida without sunglasses. Oh, Bug's getting fucked in the bug zapper.
The last time my dad was actually in Florida was for the Daytona 500, and it was 53 degrees outside with constant 40 mile per hour wind.
Not exactly optimal.
He thought it was going to be like 70s and that when he was there. So all he was in shorts and a t-shirt.
Grave mistake. Yeah, I don't want winter. I'm so done with winter. All my life, it seems like half of my life has been winter, and it's such a pain in the ass. Cold here, it gets like -10, -20 degrees.
A couple years ago, -30.
Yeah, it's gotten down to -30 here in Illinois, and it's just normal. Every year it gets that cold. I know some people that drive here where they don't even have heat in their car. They just ride it out. It's amazing, like some places an inch of snow is considered a catastrophe or dangerous weather. And it's like people are sliding and crashing. And it's like, that's kind of pathetic. Whereas like, if we have 1 inch of snow here, it's like, whoop-de-doo, you're going to school. If it's 10 inches of snow, it's like you're still going to school. Because we got snow plows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to order from Maine Military Surplus all the time. Maine is in Maine, the state. I had a few things from them.
But there was one time we had 3 feet of snow on the back of our house. There was a farm field behind us, and it was a snowdrift just covering our house. And we were barely able to get our vehicles out, and we still had school.
Yeah. I've actually got a pair of bunny boots myself. The only problem with bunny boots are they're really, really heavy. Negative temperatures feel like Mother Nature is bitch slapping you in the face over and over and over again. Like, I have entire specialty, like, snowsuits for extreme cold weather that I actually have to use on a regular basis here in Illinois. It's getting ridiculous.
Oh, it's just pure red in there right now. You can't really see it from the camera, but the whole inside is just pure red.
It's bootyful. Yeah, bunny boots, they're huge, respectively. Well, you've never seen snow? You're lucky. Snow is not all it's cracked up to be. Don't think a white winter is fun. Snow sucks.
Depends on the person. I like snow.
Snow's only fun when you're a kid or if you have a rear-wheel drive vehicle to screw around with.
It's fun in a Jeep.
Now, if you got a rear-wheel drive beater, it's fun to drive in the snow and pretend you're Takumi Fujiwara and just like initial D your way through the streets. I had a friend who would wear flip-flops during the winter, like in the snow, and wears boots during the summer, and I'm like, dude, you're so ass backwards.
My uncle used to be able to do it.
Yeah, we're talking Jason, though. This is just typical Jason being Jason.
But this is my uncle. He worked outside as a pipe fitter. And he would go to work wearing a t-shirt and sandals.
Well, actually, chains are illegal here in Illinois.
Depending on where at.
Most of the state. Most of the state, chains on your tires are illegal because they destroy the roads.
The southern tip of Illinois, they're actually legal.
Okay, maybe the southern tip when you're starting to get into Wisconsin, maybe, and only on certain like rural roads. But yeah, we put so much money into infrastructure that the companies that fund it will just get pissed if they just have to keep repairing the road.
They do that every year, though.
Well, chains, it's kind of a weird situation. I mean, I do. I have actual snow tires, like a whole different set of wheels for my vehicle with snow tires on them, specifically designed for the winter. Well, they're winter tires. I just unbolt the old wheels, bolt on the new ones, and they have everything you need. You know, they're a different type of rubber compound. So instead of all seasons that requires some friction some heat to get friction, winter compounds are softer and have a little bit deeper tread, and they don't require heat in order to maintain friction. So that's the nice thing about, you know, winter tires. But if you use them in the summer, they'll disintegrate really, really fast, or they'll deteriorate really, really fast, I should say. But that's my solution. In Illinois, if you drive in the winter with like racing or summer tires, then it's actually illegal. You have to have all seasons on, at least during the winter. Plus, why would you want to drive with summers on? You know, in the winter when it's snow about, you're just asking. Even if you have four-wheel drive, my brother had a four-wheel drive Mitsubishi Lancer, and he would slide around all the place because they came stock with like slicks.
How about Jeff when he had the Cougar?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If you have the Cougar, like just some derp-ass car to drive around and just like Tokyo drift your way around everything. Or just play some initial D music and just drive around really slow but feel like you're drifting. It's fun. But, you know, you're basically asking for your car to fall apart.
Which it was.
Oh yeah. I almost want to do that just for fun. Just get a cheap something or other, just like a almost broken down something or other. Just rear wheel drive and just, oh god, the bugs. Oh god damn it. I swear in the summer it's bugs, in the winter it's biting cold.
Well, one thing I found recently for about $700 was a Prius.
Man, what did they do to that Prius to make it worth almost nothing?
The battery is gone.
I can imagine.
Well, those batteries are what? Almost the price of a car.
They're about $10,000. Are we actually reaching the near end of this wood's capability? It's not like it's turned to ash.
Most of the vehicles you find, though, for really cheap are front-wheel drive vehicles.
Yeah, that's the problem. Give me rear-wheel drive or at least all-wheel drive. Oh. Wind, why do you have to blow the smoke in my face? We're actually planning on taking my bug zapper to an area where it's basically a freaking forest. And just live stream the bug zapper annihilating bugs. We do have actual plans to do that. I want to sit on my swing chair. Let's see, what battery am I at? 29%. What? Oh.
Aren't you connected?
May have become disconnected at some point.
What percentage of battery at?
Oh, I'm gonna look. Now it turns on. I'm gonna sit on a chair swing. Oh, nice and comfy. Oh, lordy. At least the bug zapper's just consistently going, you know?
Yep. How long are we going?
Hour and 10 minutes?
Hour 20.
Hour 20.
And that's, what, maybe 10, 15 minutes actually making the goop?
At least. I think it was more like 20 minutes making the goop. See, the octanol really works.
Just a bit. Although I got bit a couple times.
But a what?
I got bit a couple times.
Oh. Well, yeah, it's not perfect.
Let's see, is she gonna get... That car had a turbo. What we got here? Yeah, hard reset on my old Kindle phone. He said he did a hard reset on their Kindle Fire, and he said they like watching. Hard reset on their Kindle Fire and now have Alexa, and they love to watch your Wild Tank and now your Puffer and your Crawdad.
Oh. Yeah, my wild tank is fun. They're easily the most entertaining fish. And little Poof, my puffer fish, she's been a great little fish. She's definitely one of my favorite fish of all time. She's such a goof. I might just do a live stream one day of just the tanks. just watch it go. You love Poof? I'm so glad you love little Poof. She's such a little darling. I'll have to get more video footage of little Poof. Oh, your beta just built a bubble nest? That's a good sign. Contrary to popular belief, though, betas will actually make bubble nests regardless of how they feel. Although they do tend to do it more often when they're happy. Man, I'm starting to think maybe we should just have the live stream with the bug zapper. You can hear that sucker going off every few seconds. We're getting them good. Well, actually, you know what? Bugs are attracted to CO2, and we're putting a lot of it out with this fire. I think Sam.
Huh?
Open up the chat. Is that Sam in there?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Sam. Yeah, the styro fire actually got the logs to light. Here, hand me the camera. I'm going to bring it closer to me so that way I can respond a little better. Yes. Let me get a better focus on everything here. Make sure this is still charging. Yep, okay, cool. Oh, the phone was getting overheated a little bit from charging. Well, I mean, the bacteria is an important part of the ecosystem inside of a fish tank. Talking to cool off the phone.
Huh?
I was talking to Sam. Man, I've never actually sat out here in a while and just listened to the bug zapper, but it's just freaking slaughter.
I think this fire's pretty much out.
All right, Sam, you have a good one. Good night. Yeah, we finally got the wood to light. Through all these months, different techniques. This is the thing that worked.
There is quite a lot of dishes to be done. Before getting up in the morning, I'm not seeing it. The garbage is supposed to go out today, right?
Yeah, I'm going to bring it out to the curb in just a little bit.
I'm sure that just is clean by the time I get up in the morning.
The fire? Well, technically speaking, fire can turn green for a number of reasons. If you add copper to fire, the copper will cause the fire to turn green. But if you actually got fire hot enough, it would go from red to yellow to blue to green. Oh, the wood. I don't know, I didn't... that might just be the camera playing tricks, as it does. Damn, just getting all the bugs today. That octanol is really doing its thing. It's a shame you have work in the morning. Oh, you got a phone call?
Yeah. I'm gonna head out.
Oh, you gotta head out?
Yeah. Alright.
Alright. Well, before you head out, you know what? I'm gonna end the live stream.
Okay.
Let's put out the fire.
Okay.
Alright, guys. Thanks for joining us in the live stream. We'll see you next time.